Hi everyone, this is Veronica and today we are going to talk about very important topic, national policy for domestic workers. It's still in draft stage. So what are the main features of this policy? We'll discuss in detail. For my video updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. This is our channel StudyIQ. If you're preparing for any government exam, our pen drive and tablet courses are also available. For additional information, you can call on these numbers or you can visit our website also. So the PDF will also be available on our website. So now from exam point of view, what is the relevance of this topic from UPSC perspective? In your mains paper 2, UPSC CSC, right? So in your mains paper 2, this topic will be covered under these headings. So at objective level, national policy for domestic workers, what are the main features? It is important. And at subjective level, welfare measures of domestic workers is very important, that what should be done for the welfare and upliftment of the domestic workers. Now here's a question for you. Which of the following is not? So please remember here it's not. So which of the following is not the feature of the proposed national policy on domestic workers? Statement 1 is right to form their own associations and unions. Option B is domestic workers to have access to courts, tribunals and grievance redressal. Option C is establishment of a mechanism for regulation of private placement agencies. D is right to guaranteed employment. So you need to tell me the right answer in the comment box. So why it is in news recently? Because the Ministry of Labour and Employment, so you need to remember the ministry also, that is Ministry of Labour and Employment. They're considering to draft a national policy on domestic workers, which is still in its draft stage. So who are domestic workers? So these are basically the people who do the household works. These are known as household helps, right? So for example, the people who take care of the children at home, like nannies, they're considered as domestic workers. Others are, some people have cooks in their home, the people who do your laundry, ironing of clothes. So this kind of informal employment comes under domestic workers, right? So the government has not enacted any separate law. So right now there is no separate law to protect the interest of these domestic workers who are engaged in this informal sector. So now see, there is a dire need to bring in this policy, because right now the employer dominated domestic work industry, it is characterized by very low and stagnant wage rates. So wages are particularly low for Bengali and Adivasi workers. Then there is case of irregular payment of wages by employer also. And what people do, they extract of more work than agreed upon at the start of employment by these people. So this practice of dominating, reducing wages also, and private power of regulation enjoyed by the employer. So these are certain reasons that government is considering to bring in a national policy for domestic workers for their safety and security. So now we'll talk about what are the salient features. So here I have written few, but let's discuss it in points, like how you can write this this answer in exam. So what are the salient features of this proposed national policy for domestic workers? So firstly, we can give a heading called aim. So what is their aim? Because their aim is to protect the domestic workers from abuse. So you need to protect them from abuse, harassment, violence, and guarantee them rights in the matter of social security. That is most important, social security and minimum wages. The policy that is introduced has also social security cover and provisions against sexual harassment also and bonded labor. Now the next thing the next feature is that it is a national policy for all kinds of household helps, under which payment of wages is made to the board under fixed slab rate. So there will be fixed slab rates also, and the central board trust will be managed by all the stakeholders. And third feature is that this policy intends to set up an institutional mechanism. So there will be an institutional mechanism to social security cover and fair terms of employment also, because it is providing for recognizing domestic worker as a worker with the right to register themselves with the state labor department. So they will register them with the state labor department, but because usually their work is not considered as work, so that is why this is very necessary. Now the next thing is, this policy will also promote the rights of the domestic workers also, because for them to organize and form their own unions and associations and affiliate with other unions and association is very important. And it will also provide for a model contract. So there will be a model contract also of employment with well-defined period of work and rest. Then it also aims to regulate the recruitment and placement agencies. So there will be placement agencies by respective governments through formulation of policy. It will also have a tripartite implementation committee at center, state and district levels. And in the end, you just see it will also clearly define various terms such as who are part-time workers, who are full-time workers, then who are live-in workers. Live-in workers are the people you might have seen a certain domestic help which live in the employer's house only. So those are known as live-in workers, and employees in private placement agencies. So these are the salient features. So same I have written here in short points that they are including domestic workers in the existing legislations that I told you. So they can register them as unorganized workers now. Now they will have rights to form their own associations and unions. There will be right to minimum wages and access to social security. So next few are right to enhance their skills. They can improve their skills. Protection of domestic workers from abuse and exploitation. That is the first aim of this. And domestic workers to have access to courts. Now they will, if there is a complaint, there is a grievance, so they can even go to courts, and there will be a grievance redressal system for domestic workers also. So these are the features. So the question I asked you, I hope you can answer it now. So there were some other policies also. Like there was no particular policy for domestic workers earlier, but there was a policy, social act rather, the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008, that has been enacted for providing social security to all unorganized workers. So who are these unorganized workers? Which work in informal sector. For example, loaders and unloaders, there are agricultural laborers, there is fishermen, there are leather workers, there are salt workers, midwives, barbers, newspaper vendors. So people like these are under unorganized workers. So this act provides formulation of social security schemes, life and disability cover, health and maternity benefits and old age protection. So this we are talking here about this particular act, but here the domestic workers were not mentioned, but they were deemed to be inside to be covered under this act only. So now what are the various initiatives by state? So see, the state of governments, these are the name of the states: AP, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, okay, Kerala, Odisha, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, Tamil Nadu and Tripura. They have included domestic workers in the schedule of Minimum Wages Act. So the matter of constitution of State Domestic Workers Board is under jurisdiction. So who will be the apex here? State government will take care of all these things. Now see, will a national policy help? So here we will try to critically analyze this thing. So I have divided it into two parts. One is implementation, another is complexity to implement this national policy. Now see, in implementation there is no shortage of existing legislation in this matter, right? Because I already told you there is Unorganized Social Security Act 2008 and Sexual Harassment Against Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2030. So there is no shortage of legislation, right? So this USSA, that is Unorganized Social Security Act 2008, recognized domestic work as work and mandated the formation of State Social Security Board to recommend, advise and monitor social welfare schemes for unorganized workers. But none of this has been implemented in large number of states yet. So when we are already having such acts in such legislations in place which have been not implemented properly, how can we expect that this national policy is going to work? So this is just another form for USSA. You just please, so it is important, it should be important for the government that please implement USSA first and then go ahead with national policy help? So this is the one thing that we can answer while critically analyzing this policy. Next is the complexity. So try to understand this. According to United Nations, unlike other forms of labor market activity, domestic work takes place in an unconventional pace. Because what is this unconventional place of work? That is your household. This is household work. So implementation of labor laws such as minimum wages in regularized work hours, they also remain as a challenge. So such regulation is very complex because the nature of domestic work and is very unique compared to other forms of work. And finally, this particular sector, it lacks effective means to regulate working conditions. For example, through streamlined job descriptions which could be offered through standard contracts. So it's very complex to regulate and implement these things. So before telling you the answer here, let me tell you again, we'll discuss what is the need of national policy. We have to see the positives here also, because India's domestic workers number is around 5 million domestic workers, which around 3.5 million are women. So here you should note this, that 3.5 out of 5 million are women. So they perform tasks that are not recognized as work. So the absence of legislation. So here we are saying in implementation, when we are critically analyzing, that there is no dearth of existing legislation, but still we need a particular specific legislation in this area, led to the thriving industry of illegal private placement agencies. And then these agencies, what they do, they lure women from rural areas to cities, promising them lucrative salaries, lifestyle and benefits. Then many of the victims are of tribal origin. So usually you have seen many of them are from tribal origin and from poor areas, and are often subjected to abuses. So it includes working around the clock, physical violence, sexual assaults, and even threat to their lives. So we hope that national policy will do better for these people. So this is all about today's lecture, and here the answer is, because as I told you, you have to focus on not. So they are not guaranteeing you the right to guaranteed employment is not there. So this is the not correct among these. So there's a question for you also. The proposed national policy for domestic workers fails to achieve the purpose it is designed for. You need to critically examine. So I hope in last slide we have almost discussed it. Then you can articulate your answer in the comment box. If you have any queries, you can contact me. The PDF will be uploaded on our channel. Thank you.